Released on July 25th of 2025 and owned by Sabi, Outcome Memories is yet another Roblox asymmetrical horror game based on Sonic EXE and other Sonic horror projects. Don't get it mistaken, it's not a remake to the disaster like 2D was or even a successor. Outcome Memories is doing its own thing, and goddamn has it been working. I haven't seen a Sonic horror game get attention like this in forever. It's to the point that I'm seeing non-EXE fans talk and play this. They never play things like this, especially regular Sonic fans. They fucking hate us. I mean, as of writing this, the game has 20,000 plus players. That is insane. I know asymmetrical horror is really popular on Roblox, but still, seeing this as a Sonic horror fan, I love seeing it succeed. Not to mention that whole solo survivor trend on social media that broke past the game's audience, but I'll mention that later on. But first, what is Outcome Memories exactly? Well, one character takes control of an evil Sonic, and up to 6 other players take control of other characters. Sonic needs to kill the players need to defend and survive until they can escape through a giant ring. I think I've heard of that before. Oh, Dragon Ball The Breakers! Yes, this game has a similar gameplay loop to other multiplayer Sonic EXE games, but there's so many differences and other aspects that makes this game its own. Let's start with the lobby. It's a lobby, alright. It doesn't really need to be much because of how fast you go from lobby to game, but I'm glad they put some effort into it. And of course there's the standard settings in AFK mode, but you also have a pretty expansive shop to explore. Here you can buy accessories, alt colors, whole skins, emotes, and eventually more characters, I think. There's only one killer as of writing this video, and it says he's free, so that leads me to believe the others will cost Sonic doubloons. Anyways, the customization in this game is incredible. Ever play a multiplayer game with cosmetics, and then most of them just suck or are way too subtle? Yeah, in Outcome Memories, you can just straight up turn into the Roaring Knight. That's an extra 5 Sonic points to this game. Speaking of characters, the lineup here is pretty solid. It's the same roster as the Disaster 2D minus Sally, with 2 new additions, Metal Sonic and regular Sonic. I feel like I never see a playable Sonic in EXE games. He's either trapped and betrayed for 1,000 years as X, or he's just not acknowledged whatsoever. Each survivor once again has unique abilities and passive skills, but now there's a lot more depth to how these skills work. For example, Sonic has a peel out ability that not only lets him zoom away, but pick up a survivor. He also can't pick up Eggman because, I don't know, he's just really fat.
I mean, come on, come on.
Metal Sonic only has 1 life, so to make up for this, he has a self-repair ability. But if he self-repairs near Eggman or Tails, it'll increase how fast he heals up. Not only are these solid abilities that make the survivors stronger, but it's just so cool that all of their mechanics interact with each other like this. They could have easily just made the abilities one note, but the devs obviously put a lot of thoughts into how these abilities could function. And if you're wondering who my main is, of course it's Eggman. I mean, he can shield up, run away like a wimp, be bright purple, also be my sweet charming prince. Do I need anything else? And of course, with cool survivors comes a cool executioner. It's singular. There's currently only 1 killer in the game, 2011X, also known as X or Sonic.exe. Besides being fast and having a basic attack, 2011X does have a few abilities up his sleeve. Invisibility, which increases his speed and lets him teleport to nearby survivors. A charge attack, which lets him fly towards survivors to stun and damage. God's Trickery, which forces players to remember how the blue and orange lines work in Undertale. And the big one, Rage Mode. As 2011X gets stunned by survivors, his rage meter here on the side fills up. Get that full, activate rage mode, and go crazy. You've got faster running, stronger attacks, you're stunned for less time. It's basically just a stats boost mode that you'll most likely need to win. Allow me to explain. In a game like Disaster 2D or even the original Disaster, the Executioner has the advantage. In Outcome Memories, as long as the survivors stick together, they will shred through Pink Eye Hall like it's nothing. I should know. I got picked as this bastard 4 times in a row and got bullied by a bunch of kids on Roblox. It was the most humbling experience of my life. I feel like once other executioners come out, it might not be this one-sided toward the survivors, but Cream and the gang can really beat your ass if you aren't careful about it. Oh yeah, that's another thing. There are still so many characters planned for this game. This video might even be outdated by the time it's posted, as Blaze and Silver are planned as survivors, with Fleetway Supersonic, Colossus from the Disaster, and a retake on Tails doll named Tripwire as executioners. Hey, it's me Toadbup from a month in the future. Thank you to the Outcome Memory devs for taking your time with this update, because my video is still not outdated, thank God. Not to mention that the Outcome Memory staff has tons more planned for future updates. We're literally only in version 0.1. There are so many more things to look forward to. Hell yeah, we're getting Fang, and Infinite, and Shadow, and the Chaotix, and... Is that Honey the Cat? This might be the best game ever made. Who the hell am I though? Am I right, guys? Look at them. The characters are part of the reason this game is so beloved, but it's also kind of because of how the characters look. The art style in this game is so damn clean. I mean, a lot of the official 3D models for classic characters look like this. So to see these really well-made 3D models and original designs for classic versions of Sonic characters is great. These are also better than the current official anything models from Sonic. You know those things you want to put in your mouth that aren't food, like aquarium gravel or marbles? Yeah, that's these 3D models. They look so delicious. The executioners look great too, but 2011X just looks a little off to me. I'm not sure why. I'm not a big fan of his model. As for the stages, they're pretty alright. X's castle is probably my favorite, being this giant gothic vampiric castle. Not Perfect is pretty fun too. I like to jump off the ledge in front of the killer sometimes. They never see it coming. Green Hill is okay, albeit a little bland, and You Can't Run just pisses me off. I'm always getting lost in this map. There's so many corners where you can get your ass beat. And also, I got stuck this one time, and it was a little embarrassing. It's not a bad map per se, but it definitely is the least favorite of the bunch for me. But while I can nitpick other aspects of this game, there is one undeniable fact about Outcome Memories. The music is outstanding. The chase theme, the rage mode theme, the character themes, oh my god, the character themes. So one mechanic I haven't mentioned yet is Last Man Standing. When one survivor is left, the time limit increases and the survivor gets a certain buff. And each survivor has a special theme that plays during this segment, and they're all so good. Eggman's Cracked Empire, Metal Sonic's Dead or Alive, Tails' Friends No More. Oh, don't get me started on Friends No More. Congested editing Toadbup here. I just want to add that I re-listened to all the themes and I'm not the biggest fan of the Amy one. I just want to have one negative opinion in here. Yeah, that's right, I could be negative. Watch me just fucking blow up this person. Now, the gameplay available currently isn't that much, but I find it a fun time to hop on and blast through some games for an hour or so. But if the base game isn't something you like, there's also tons of private server content that you can dabble with. On Roblox, you can make private servers for you and your friends, and in Outcome Memories, that comes with what is essentially creative mode. Not only can you mess with the game settings like time and who's the killer, but there's a bunch of goofy exclusive maps and characters. You could play as Baldi or Frisk or... oh dear god. Unfortunately, it seems like Dwight D. Eisenhower was removed in the last update. I did hear that Harry Truman would be replacing him in the next version though. A lot of these characters are just silly gag characters or overpowered tanks, but it's a blast to gather up some friends and run around in Baldi's schoolhouse. And that's about it when it comes to Outcome Memories. There are some lore details about the characters in the game itself, but you know I'm no lore guy. 98XX is the furthest I'll go with that stuff. But I bet you're all wondering now, where are all of the solo endings? Funny story. So on social media in the past few weeks, people have been making a bunch of funny, silly solo endings based on Outcome Memories. Fun fact, these don't even exist. There are concepts for solo endings after Samuel Pastel's Metal Sonic concept went viral, but they currently aren't in the game. They're planned, but they're not real. There's something kind of funny about the arguably most viral thing about this game, just not being a thing from the game. There's a lot of work and passion put into this game. The graphics and music are incredible, the characters have a ton of depth to them and also are really fun to navigate around as. However, it's obvious that this game's still early in development. There's not a ton to do here. Listen, I could get behind a gameplay loop like this, but I can also see why someone would find the game boring in this state. The devs are planning new characters and maps and game modes and mechanics, so it's clear to see that there's more to come. But also remember that these are devs that are working for free. Think back to Sally Acorns and Hell. You can't expect there to be mountains of content for a game that just came out a few months ago. So when I see people complain that the new stuff isn't out yet or harass developers about it, it's so disappointing. Be patient. There are actual breathing human beings working on this. It's not Sonic EXE sitting on Roblox Studio for your gaming pleasure.
Let's just give this a try. I don't know exactly what I should be doing, but
anyways, it's been a long time since I've been this invested in a Roblox game, and I can't wait to see what Sabi and Skittle Bunny and Ross and all the other developers who worked on this game cook up next. Outcome Memories might not be the most mind-blowing multiplayer game out there, but if it keeps updating and maintaining the same quality, it genuinely might be one of the best Sonic horror games of all time. Except for the fact that you could turn off EXE chances. So that's why I had to play as him 4 times in a row? Turn your EXE chances on, you cowards. The handful of multiplayer Sonic horror games that exist are very conceptually similar, but somehow they still all manage to be distinct and fun in their own ways. Even The Disaster, which is no longer with us, was its own thing in comparison to 2D and Outcome Memories. It really does make me happy to see these games I've talked about still alive and thriving in their own ways, with active player bases and people still making content on them. Do you know what it was like to be a Sonic EXE fan in the mid-2010s? If I told someone I liked to play the game with the gray evil tails in it, I would have been melted into a fine stew. Now I see people not ashamed to make memes about Markiplier being in a Sonic EXE multiplayer game. This is the correct path in life. Keep supporting these games, be kind to the developers as they work on these non-profit projects, and continue to celebrate when people in the EXE community make cool and unique games like this that break the typical genre of what an EXE game is. So that's about it. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I did mention that there was 3 of these games that I wanted to talk about. Oh, you might want to sit down for this one. This is something special. Back in July, I saw this tweet from user DaOrangeBoy. Turns out that they decompiled the original Sonic.exe game from Mist Crimson and made it multiplayer. So naturally, I DM'd them for a copy, got the biggest Sonic fan I know of, Salty DK Dan, and gave the game a whirl. It is literally just Sonic EXE, but with the addition of Blails. It's a blue tails that's slightly taller. I would weep out of pure beauty, but I dare not lose any of the magnificence stored in my body from this experience. So this isn't exactly a publicly available game. DaOrangeBoy just kind of tossed this together for me to try out, and I'm super thankful for that. Maybe they'll upload it one day, I don't know. They